roundtable.
You got me.
I always get them. We got the gruesome twosome back in the fold here. Nico, Mike Story, Rob Simmons. Been a while.
The host with the most.
Thank you. It's been a while.
It has.
And we are going to recap our fantasy takes from the 2024 season.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
The fat, in this case. And we're also going to kind of talk about just, in general, the landscape. Maybe talk about a little bit coming forward 2025.
What next year looks like.
Just wanted to get together. We're going to do Waterboy later, a little double header. Yep. This guy's doing a movie. We're doing our top 5 best takes we had, and then our 3 worst takes that are going to be really pooey. I have one that's really gross, and you're not going to believe what I said. And I watched it, and I could not believe it. I'll give you my first 5, my good ones here. Quentin Johnson. I led every show off of Quentin Johnson. Would you guys agree I hit that?
I mean,
relative to his draft position.
Yeah, sure.
It was
I guess
double.
He finished well ahead of where he needed to
be. He was pretty much a wide receiver 3.
Looked amazing when Josh Palmer wasn't there.
And what
sucks is 14 targets in
week
week
18 that didn't count. Yeah. He had 9 for 140 and a touchdown.
Yeah, on 14 targets.
But he still had 8 touchdowns in the fantasy season. And for me, I said leading off with the Quentin Johnson thing, it's mostly a best ball thing.
I was going to say on best ball. Yeah, that's an absolute nail. I don't think you could
wide receiver 7.
You couldn't start him in
when I
season
started
long
him,
fantasy.
he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Most times. I didn't start him many times.
Yeah.
I ended up dropping him in a lot of leagues. I'm just saying, he was going wide receiver 67.
Yeah, he was on and off the bottom of rosters, but for a
Killed it. And did he not prove he could play football? Yep. He still had some really bad drops. But the man looks like an elite, not elite talent, but he looks like the part.
So, 2023, we were half right, and this year he was right.
Yeah.
It just took a little longer to come to fruition.
Yeah, never wrong.
Just call it early.
You never take the L, right? You're just early.
Next one, in our player props, we all did 5 player props. I went 4-1.
Nice. Okay.
And Bijan Robinson 6.5 rushing touchdowns. That was easy as hell. Joe Burrow 4,000 yards. He had almost 5,000. Neighbors 875. He crushed that. Broke the actual receiving record for the Giants. And Pat Freiermuth 470. I think he had 600. The only one I missed was Matt Stafford over 22.5 passing touchdowns. And he played 16 games. He missed the last week. They said but he had 20. So it's actually, if that's my miss.
He had receivers in and out of the lineup too.
How did he not hit that playing essentially a full season? That's embarrassing. Kyron Williams.
It's very clear that McVay he doesn't want to pass the ball if he can avoid it, right? They're forced into it, but he would much rather run the ball.
Next one, Chuba Hubbard. Had him in 14 leagues out of 20.
That's a solid.
He sat the championship week, which sucked, but he was amazing. I was expecting 4, 5, 6 weeks out of him. I got 13, maybe 14 because Brooks came back, and there was 1 week where he ate in, and then he got hurt, of course. Mm-hmm. Love that take. Scary Terry McLaurin, one of my PPs.
Yeah.
13 touchdowns.
Yep.
So for all those people that say, this guy can't catch touchdowns, Terry McLaurin did it with a rushing quarterback. And Terry McLaurin's amazing.
By far his best season.
Yeah.
He's what I'm hearing is Kingsbury to the Bears.
No, not as a head coach.
God.
My last great take, guy that won me a lot of money, is Zach Charbonnet. I talked about him all the time. What was amazing about him is it was so obvious when to start him when Kenneth Walker was hurt. He had 5 weeks of, I feel like, top 5 RB that week. Including some 30-point weeks.
When Walker came back is when it got tough.
Right, but you weren't drafting him as such.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was 5. He had 5 league-winning weeks, including the semifinal, I believe it was. He scored 30-something.
How do you feel about how Walker ended up on the season? Because when he was in there, he was an RB1. Charbonnet rarely ate into his workload at all.
Walker was fine early, and then he just didn't do anything when he came back. He got hurt a couple times, left the game.
What do you do next year there, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
And I'm not saying Charbonnet's great. I feel like he looked better than we thought he did. And it just the fantasy take of if you had him, it was the weeks 2 through 4. Those 3 weeks where he was RB1, and then he had 2 other weeks that were RB1, and you knew when to start him. He made me a lot of money.
One of those rare handcuffs that paid off this year. It was a running back year by far.
And you held on to him because he gave you the early weeks, and he was getting some work.
What did he do in week 1 when Kenneth Walker didn't play? Okay. So it was those late weeks as you're making that playoff
2
push.
through 4. Week 1, Walker played.
Okay, so it's 2 through. Okay,
yeah, 2 through 4, and then
remember.
14 and 15.
Yeah, And in 14-15, he was absolute
well,
stud.
the one game he had a 70-yard rushing touchdown. What do you got?
So I nailed a bunch of pillar players. Jaden Daniels, Drake London, Malik Neighbors, Trey McBride, Aaron Jones, and George Kittle. All of them had really good fantasy seasons. They outplayed their ADP. On the season-long player props, I did not so great on all of them, but this one was just an absolute smash. Derrick Henry, over 975.5 rushing yards and over 10.5 rushing, not I don't think rushing, but touchdowns. And he absolutely crushed those numbers. Double the rushing yards and 1.5 times the rushing touchdown. So that one was easy.
I imagine there's a lot of championship teams that had Henry in their roster.
Yeah, then that's one of those things that I'm going to look back on for next year is running backs that are changing teams, but they go to similar or better offensive environments. Your Saquon Barkley's, your Derrick Henry's. Like, everybody's worried because of the tush push. Everybody's worried, with Saquon Barkley. Everybody's worried because of Lamar Jackson. But does it really matter when you've got this amazing talent and a great offensive line? Probably not.
You're gonna use it.
So number 3, a bunch of underdog best ball values really came through. So I mentioned Jaden Daniels already, but Alvin Kamara, I was taking him early. He was drafted at RB17. He paid off this year. He did get hurt towards the end. Terry McLaurin, you mentioned it, Rob. He was being drafted wide receiver 36 this year. A lot of great value there. And then George Kittle being drafted tight end 8. He ended up as the tight end number 2 this year.
Yeah, Scary Terry's man of the pod. I think we're all
I'm high. I can't wait for next year for him. He might be overdrafted next year. We'll see. Anyway, number 4, deep sleepers. I hit a couple of these guys. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Took him a few weeks to come on, but once he did, he became the wide receiver 1 there in Seattle.
He became a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he was a wide receiver 1. Yeah, he was top 12 multiple weeks in a row there. And then Darnell Mooney. He wasn't a wide receiver 1 by any stretch, but he was a solid wide receiver 2 in the middle of the season and really helped my teams out a lot. And then this one I'm really happy about. Not because I want to see the young man fail, but just because I knew that this was going to be an absolute almost certainty that Marvin Harrison Jr. will be a bust in year 1. I said it on the Hot Takes program. That was my stamp of approval. That was my one that I was willing to die on. I knew that offense in Arizona was being overdrafted. I knew they were overrated. And at Harrison, there was zero chance that he was going to return value this year.
What's crazy is, so you were down on him. I was more like at consensus. I only had 1 share, though. You, on the other hand, for the ranking show, had him at 36.
Yeah, I had none.
Or 33 or so. It was really crazy low.
You guys harassed me about how low that
and we both harassed him, even though you were low on him.
Yeah.
You had no shares, right? You weren't going to get him when you had him ranked?
I only got 1 share that in a league that I stumbled into, that somebody I had to take over an orphan.
There was no universe. This was a Star Wars universe a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away where he may have gotten Marvin Harrison. And
you had him nowhere, right?
No.
It was impossible. He would have drafted him in the 9th round.
Yeah.
He went in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
So.
Insane.
No way.
I mean, you could have gotten Brian Thomas. You could have gotten Malik Neighbors. You could have gotten Ladd McConkey and had a better season.
Speaking of Brian Thomas, this man was higher than Brian Thomas and anyone in the world.
It was.
What do you got for your big hits?
You guys just hit on a couple of them, right? It was the Marvin Harrison was never going to return value where you were drafting him, even though he did have the almost identical season to his dad's rookie year, right?
It was solid. 8 touchounts. I mean,
he didn't kill a guy, though.
I don't hate it.
No, hopefully not yet.
where he paid. The other real big one for me was Brian Thomas. I felt like he'd lead the Jags. He
Absolutely
did.
huge.
He was a phenomenal value.
And the late season surge.
I will say that nothing else in that offense worked, and
it worked with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Go
His
figure,
best weeks
right?
were the Mac fucking Jones.
Yeah.
What else can you say? I mean, he's a baller,
crazy.
man.
That's crazy. My pillar players that hit, I had Joe Burrow, which, phenomenal season. I think if that team had a better year, Burrow's in the MVP conversation. I think he should be, but there's a lot of recency bias when we look at MVP voting. So,
But part of his success, though, not to take anything away from Joey B, was that defense's all-time debacle, right? It was every game was 37-33. I mean, it was just, those receivers, too. T. Higgins, get on the field, first of all.
yeah.
well, I mean, but once he did, I mean,
he made his money, and it worked out for him. But would you pay him as number 1?
No, but somebody will. Somebody will.
Gonna,
Yeah.
The Bengals can't.
Someone's definitely gonna.
No.
The other ones, I was big on the running backs. We're going later in Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Chase Brown definitely paid off, probably more because of injury than anything else. Jalen Warren, Najee had a solid year, but it was kind of a split there. I'm not gonna say
Warren spent a lot of time in the.
Warren only did stuff week 12 through 16.
He was injured
I'm not
quite.
gonna say Warren was a win because of the injury. Rashid Shaheed before injury, I felt like that was a hit.
That was right.
I was really high on him. One of my pillar players. Ferguson, not so much. Part of that's Dak injury, part of that's Fergie's injury, part of that's Dallas is a shithole.
The shithole. The shithole.
But I don't
What's
know.
crazy is Schoonmaker killed it when he filled in.
That was weird.
Schoonmaker had 2 touchdowns, and like Ferguson couldn't find the end zone.
I did not see that.
We were wrong though. Ferguson's not a good player. Right? He's
No.
Dalton Schultz, is what he is. I thought he was a better player than that. He is
I did too.
slow
Yeah.
and not dynamic at all.
If Dalton Schultz is Sam's Club, Ferguson is Costco. There's still not Nordstrom, right? Like,
Right?
You have to pay to have a membership,
Yeah.
and we don't like
Yep.
paying.
The other two that I'll touch on were J.K. Dobbins and Saquon Barkley. I was a lot higher on both of them than consensus.
true, but mid-season you were looking to unload Dobbins there for a little bit.
Well, I just had so many running backs, and I was dying at receivers. So, and it worked out. It was JSN I got for Dobbins.
Well,
Dobbins got
solid
hurt,
trade,
so
yeah.
It wasn't a terrible trade.
Although Dobbins came back and absolutely, yeah.
So those are all your goods?
What was the last one?
Do you have any
Dobbins
other-
and who?
Saquon.
Saquon.
Do you have
Yeah.
any other bads?
Cooper Kupp was a mixed bag.
That's bad.
Uh,
No,
bad.
it's not a mixed bag. It's
No,
bad.
I was so high on him. I thought he was going to crush everything.
He was doing well. Week 1, amazing. Couple other weeks,
Yeah,
good.
I thought it was right on that initially.
He's
but
done,
He
right?
might be, but it's
No,
more
no,
not
no,
he's
no.
done,
He
it's more-
might be.
It's more Puka's the man.
Bro, did you watch the film, though? He's done. He can't separate at all.
I don't want to admit it, okay?
He's done.
He might be
It's
dealing.
not like new with Michael
Maybe next
Thomas.
year I'll
dude.
He might be dealing with an injury.
Okay, well, then he's always dealing with an injury.
Uh,
He's done.
Josh Palmer, I totally whiffed on. I thought he was going to be the guy for the Chargers.
Before we go to bed, I got a halfway one that I got right. I said Travis Kelce will end up as a tight end 8 or worse. He ended up at the tight end 6. So
Is that PPR or half?
that was half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PPR he was better.
Yeah. So, but still
touchdown.
6 when he was being drafted as 1,
2, yeah.
2, 1.
It was. I mean, all those early tight ends were bad
Yeah.
picks.
So that's not. I mean, it's not a wrong one, even though technically it is wrong.
What's crazy is
Wasn't
Trey
bad.
McBride was great, even though he had 2 touchdowns in the whole year.
Dude, I had a
on
season long.
Bowers either. You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
seriously.
hey, I had 3 shares of Bowers just
Such a
based on when
talent.
I missed out on Ferguson. And I was so depressed when it happened. And I was like, well, now I have Bowers, and like, look how that worked out. That's why I always just don't reach for your guys. Like, we never know. Even we had a lot of good takes. Like, don't reach for them. If they fall, then there's always another guy. There's always another guy, right? There's always a guy that's undrafted, especially a tight end, dude. What are we talking
Plenty of
about?
fish in the
Dude,
sea.
Bowers is going to be drafted in round 1 next year, or
Tight end
McBride.
1.
Yeah,
Yep.
one of those two is
Well,
going to be
those would
drafted.
be bad
He's
picks.
the new Kelsey.
Maybe not Bowers.
Anyway, so
What
the
are your
wrongs,
bets?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the pillar players that I was on that I got wrong: Rashad White, George Pickens, Nick Chubb, and Demaro Douglas. Now the first two, Rashad White and George Pickens, had okay seasons, but I don't think anybody saw Bucky Irving being as stellar of a running
Well,
back.
I loved Bucky Irving,
Yeah.
but I didn't think he was
as a rusher though, I don't think anybody
Right.
saw
And
that.
as a goal line rusher.
I'll jump on the I fucked the Chubb call up too. 'Cause
Yeah.
We all
Chubb-
did. We
Chubb-
all love Chubb.
I was all
He
in on
looked- he
Chubb,
looked
and
cooked.
that guy's done.
He looked cooked.
Douglas,
where's he gonna play next
flash
year,
in the
though?
pan. I don't know.
No, I might be on Chubb next year because
Yeah?
a year removed from the injury.
Depends where he goes.
I actually think that Pickens could have a bounce back year next year. I think that he's got opportunity.
I
But
don't know, man. I love Pickens. You know, you had Pickens at 12 in your ranks, by the
Yeah,
way.
I know.
I had him at 23. You had him at 25. He was ECR 27. And I actually had Pickens in like 7 spots because I after that show, I did bump him up and was taking him everywhere.
I thought he'd get peppered this year with targets.
Well, he did, and then if you watch the end of the year, his body language and he's a psycho. He's Antonio Brown,
gave
late
up.
stage of his career, but the catches he makes. And I will say this, Erica will attest to this because she had Pickens in a couple spots. The man had 3 touchdowns called back.
He did.
Every time he had a
did.
good play, it was called back.
Yeah.
He's just a baby back bitch that,
Yeah,
like, needs to just shut the fuck
just
up
one
and
of
play
those
football.
weird variant seasons.
Somehow, this is the crazy thing, is Mike Tomlin allows this to happen time in and time out, right? Like Mike
receivers
Tomlin is a
just do that.
no-nonsense guy, but he allows his receivers to be divas. Why?
I don't know.
He sees talent. I mean,
And
it's
there
tough to
is
argue.
talent with George Pickens.
Tough to argue.
Like,
He's got-
someone
he's
needs to
got
sit George
talent
Pickens
on his
down
own, right?
and
Talent
tell
on
him to
his
stop taking his helmet off. When somehow they don't flag George Pickens, and that the second to last game, he took his helmet off 3 different times. I think it was the Baltimore game, and they didn't flag him. Dude, you can't take your helmet off.
No.
Like, and it's because he does get flagged, but it's like, bro, you're gonna do that in a big part. He'll probably do that in a playoff game, and then he will get flagged, right? Like,
Yep.
Well, you see the spread on that? 9.5 point
Yeah,
favorites. The Ravens
no,
are.
really?
Yeah.
I kind of like
And
the Steelers,
but Flowers might not play.
Yeah.
Should
Well,
we-
you have any
should
other?
we-
yeah,
Yeah,
so
picks
team-
at the end of the pod?
Yeah, it's that. Team
You
win
went deep.
total locks. I did poorly on this. Chiefs, I took under 11.5 wins. That was straight up. Wish would have taken the spread on that because I think they only cover the spread in 2 or 3 games this year. I took Bengals over 10.5 wins, and that was that was product of their defense. But I did nail the Patriots under 5.5 wins, so got that one going. And then the last one, this one really stung. One of the hot takes, I said C.J. Stroud will win the MVP and be the QB2 this year in fantasy, and that did not work out.
No, he's bad.
Oh, he's bad. He's bad.
Where did he finish?
I don't know, QB 13.
Yeah, later. And he played every game. I mean, he can't read a defense, and if he gets
if
any
he doesn't
pressure,
have Nico, he can't.
It's not even just Nico.
He can't throw guys open.
Right.
Yeah, he's bad.
You give him a defense like the Vikings, he will throw 5 picks. And
he's just
any exotic defense.
defenses?
But he doesn't run.
Athleticism.
He doesn't run. Yeah, he brings nothing.
Hey, I was super against CJ Stroud as a player coming out. I knew I whiffed on that rookie year. It's the opposite of the Quentin Johnson thing you guys said, right? Like I was justified with, and Bryce Young is bridging the gap.
And I was too high on Stroud too.
Right? Is the gap bridged between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud or no?
I mean, the way he finished, I kind of think it is.
We'll still take it CJ Stroud.
I think you're looking at a small game sample there with Bryce Young.
I'm not taking either unless I wait till very late rounds.
I think that's a warning for next year.
I'll take both late.
Those pocket passing quarterbacks, they have to have outlier seasons in order to return value in the top 5.
The first year with CJ Stroud, all those 3rd and 14s he'd convert.
I think we got to be careful about.
Release.
I think we got to be careful about Joe Burrow next year. I don't know if the defense improves. Is he going to throw 45 touchdowns
He's not going to throw
4,800?
Yeah, but Joe Burrow's amazing, and we all know he's amazing.
Joe Burrow's amazing, and he has Jamar Chase, the greatest human being on the planet.
You ready for my bad 3? The first one's bad.
Yeah.
This actually was a conversation we had for like 4 minutes, 5 minutes on the pod, and the ranked disputes. Now I'm gonna preface this with saying that I had 2 shares of ETN and 2 shares of Barkley, so it wasn't as bad as what the take was. We had a 5-minute conversation. I had ETN over Barkley in a ranked show.
That's pretty
And it wasn't because I had Barkley that low. I had Barkley at 7 and ETN at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I wasn't drafting ETN over Barkley when it really push came to shove.
I do want the record to note that I did say I thought Tank Bigsby had some value this year.
Yeah, 100%. As your quote.
Yeah.
But I had an argument over this, and you split the difference and said that you take Barkley, even though you had Barkley at 9 originally in that show, and then I think you.
God, we're all idiots.
Yep.
But that was a conversation we had, and it was a very long conversation. It wasn't like a 30-second conversation. It was like pretty long, and it was mostly me. No, I'm always drunk. I was touting the Jaguars' offense and destroying the Eagles' offense because of the last 5 weeks from the Eagles.
Don't worry, they're gonna hire Robert Saleh, and he's gonna fix their offense.
No, there's nothing that can fix
and
the Jaguars.
And I was touting the Eagles' passing game, which is like.
They ran so much.
What's crazy is the tush push was still a thing this year, and Barkley still had like 12 touchdowns because he's that talented of a player. And I thought his talent was a little diminished. It wasn't.
How about week?
The volume was the concern.
How about week 17? Week 17 when Barkley was like minus 240 to get a touchdown, and they refused to give it to him inside the 5-yard line. Jalen Hurts had 2 rushing touchdowns that week. No, it wasn't Hurts. It was. Hurts was out with a concussion, so they had what's his name?
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Pickett doing tush pushes. Like, God, if I was Barkley, I'd be waiting for Sirianni, like with a bag of doorknobs.
But Barkley said it himself, like the one game where he could have set the single game rushing record, right? And I don't know if you guys saw the audio of that or heard anything of it, but Barkley's sitting on the bench and he's like, "Hey man, you're close to the single game rushing record. Like, you want to go in and get it?" And he's like, "Nah, let the young guys eat, man. It's good."
Good for him. I love Saquon Barkley.
He's
What a guy.
Too.
He's like, "Are you sure?"
Consummate professional.
He's like, "I'm sure."
Still, he should have done it. He should have played week 18.
For freaking 5 years.
Should have played the week 18.
Another miss. This is a bad one. Blake Corum, 13 shares for me. Ooh, and it wasn't exactly the last round pick. It was 9th or 10th.
Listen, man, Blake Corum, Ray Davis.
But actually, Ray Davis performed.
But you never could have started him. All those backup running backs that we held shares on too.
Blake Corum never saw the field.
That's
the problem.
Nobody got hurt other than Jordan Mason. Well, CMC and then Jordan Mason.
Jordan Mason was the elite handcuff.
And then Zach.
It was a
Kenneth
bad
Walker's
year for handcuffing.
It was, yeah. No,
because it's hard to even count Zach Charbonnet as a handcuff because he was like a 7th or 8th round pick.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? He was a standalone value guy with a handcuff appeal.
I loaded my bench with all those
and none of them hit.
None of them
hit.
Like
I had to drop Garendo 1 week because I was holding on to him, and I had to drop him for bye weeks, and then Jordan Mason gets hurt. Now I don't have him anymore. It was just a bad week. Everybody stayed healthy. I thought, Corum's going to have standalone value, and then he's going to take the job,
That's
or
what we
Kyron's
thought.
going to get hurt.
We thought he was
1-2,
equivalent to a poor man Charbonnet,
Yeah.
and he didn't even.
Come on, Vidal.
Dude, do we know
He's a
if
repeat
Kyron Williams got hurt? Do we even know that Blake
No.
Corum was going to be the guy?
We don't.
Corum's the
We
exact
don't.
same
But he
guy
was
as
supposed to be.
Kyron
No, he was a
Williams,
better player.
Why would you draft the same guy?
Kyron Williams is a
What's the
pipsqueak.
argument?
Braylon Allen, when Brees Hall got hurt, he wasn't even the
what was
guy.
that? I started him everywhere.
He wasn't
still
even.
scored 12 PPR
Isaiah
points,
Davis is a
but-
thing now.
Yeah,
like
what is
so
this?
that there's another thing. Like
But he was taking a lot of
We-
high value touches from Brees Hall.
we
during
like
the
to
season.
think we know who the handcuff is.
We don't.
We don't.
The only one we knew was Tyler Algier.
Yes.
Right? And Tyler Algier, apparently,
I held on to Tyler Algier
Bijan doesn't get hurt.
every
Of course,
week.
you have to.
Yeah.
I
And
still have him on my fucking teams. He's still on my rosters, man. All right, I'm going to go through position by position. We're going to go through.
wait, was that all three? You did.
That was all. Oh,
Okay.
Jake Ferguson.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. 0 touchdowns.
It's all right. Tight end was a wasteland this
It
year.
was it's always a waste, but it wasn't that bad.
I am a terrible tight end.
It started badly.
I will be the first to admit that. The tight end's coming out, the draft
Because they're not
prospects,
tight
what
after
they're
you
gonna
get done
do,
with them,
like,
Nico. You fucking giant hogged motherfucker.
I don't know what to do with tight
They're
ends.
loose ends,
I'm
bro.
gonna give you a name that you keep in your back of your mind.
that?
Everybody, his name is Tyler Warren. He is a tight end, an all-purpose athlete for Penn State. Yeah. He carried me to a fantasy championship
Wow.
I'm
in
ready for
college
the
this
Niners
year.
to draft him at 11.
He's probably gonna get drafted like in
All right,
round one.
we're gonna real quick go through these quarterbacks here, just where they were getting drafted and who popped, who was a dud. We had Josh Allen number 1, Mahomes 2, bust.
Bust.
Jalen Hurts 3, Lamar Jackson 4, C.J. Stroud 5. That's
Bust.
gross. Richardson 6, even grosser,
Bust.
losing his job to Joe Flacco. Joe Burrow 7, that's amazing.
Too low.
Kyler Murray 8, bust. Jordan Love 9, bust. Dak Prescott 10, bust.
Broken.
Brock
Broken,
Purdy
yeah.
was fine. Jaden Daniels
There you go, too
electric
low.
I
at
had a few
11.
shares of Daniels, too. I was
Caleb
happy about
12, bust. Tua 13, bust. Jared
Broken.
Goff 15, amazing.
those. Yep.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, Herbert. Herbert actually was amazing.
Yeah.
And you,
Yeah. I know.
you said that he was awful.
I did.
Can't play football.
And he finished so well at the end of the year, too. Anyone else? Baker Mayfield at 21.
That
Who
is
saw
a
that
steal of the draft.
coming?
Yeah.
Who saw that
coming?
You had Baker Mayfield.
I mean, the man threw
My
Bo
buddy-
Nix
my
at
buddy Mark won a
23.
championship with Baker.
Bo Nux, yeah.
Yeah.
Solid.
That's really
Drake
it.
May finished all right.
Drake
too.
May was 30.
I mean, very
So best
very-
ball considerations, like Drake May killed it.
I can't believe in week 16 that or week 17 Drake May got absolutely crushed in the head. Went to the locker room and they're like, "Yeah, go back out there, rookie. You can. Yeah,
I
you're
can't
fine."
believe they won that last week.
Yeah.
I mean,
why Mayo got
No-
Joe
fired.
Milton, baby.
Nobody. Yeah, Joe Milton.
Hey,
how
I
about-
talked him up.
Yeah.
Guys,
How many teams?
lose that game.
How many-
Start Brissett, right?
How many teams did that this year though? The Giants did it against the Colts in
The
week.
Raiders won 2 games.
Raiders did it. Houston did it.
The Giants won that game with Drew Lock, the epic Drew Lock game. All right, let's go to running back here. We got Chris McCaffrey, number 1.
Woo! It's my boy.
Yikes.
And real quick, what do you have to say about your
Where
Niners?
is he going to
What do you
get
have to say about
drafted?
your Niners?
Where is he going to
Too
get
many
drafted?
injuries.
Where's he going to get
Long
drafted
seasons.
next year?
Just
You guys
caught
are
up
done,
to him.
right?
Nah, they'll be fine next year.
Where do you
Your
think
defense is
Where do you think
shit.
CMC's getting
They're gonna
drafted
bring
next year?
Salah back.
He's still getting drafted like top 12.
Get out of here. Are
Yeah,
you
he will.
It's CMC,
He'll be
dude.
7 or 8.
okay? 7 or 8.
Yep. I think
So
he'll
what's
be
up
7 or
with
8.
your Niners? They're done?
No, they just can't find a
You gotta
good
pay
D
Brock
coordinator.
Purdy?
They keep getting
What's up with
good
Brock
coordinators
Purdy's
really?
elbow?
here. And they're going to bring Robert Saleh back.
Better-
They just
oh,
interviewed him
God.
today. They had a fantastic defense with him.
That guy's a
Brees Hall, bust.
Yeah, I
Beyond
knew that
bust.
one. I was super high in Hall. That was my first pick.
Bijan, solid.
very
Played
solid.
every game. Really good.
Very
Saquon,
solid.
amazing. Jonathan Taylor, the end of the year makes it good.
I mean,
if you did make the playoffs with Jonathan
made the
Taylor, as
playoff.
I did,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won your league
Won
because of
my league
Jonathan
on
Taylor.
that- on the
Yeah,
back
I
of
did win
Jonathan
his
Taylor.
league. Jameer Gibbs, amazing, even without. We were all scoffing at his touchdown props early in the year, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there's a reason why. All the opportunities, the
That
talent.
So
Line is
they
amazing.
they
Because
so-
didn't David Montgomery still have 10 touchdowns?
yeah
11?
Montgomery's coming back. They said for the
Doesn't
divisional
matter.
round.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
I love it.
So the question is, are they a better team if it's just Jameer Gibbs? And in a short term, probably. Like, I don't think they could go a full season
Right,
with Gibbs
he's gonna get
as
hurt.
their primary running back.
Yeah.
But you're talking divisional conference Super Bowl.
Craig Reynolds is not
probably.
bad,
I still want to give him some breaks, though. And Monty's
Yeah.
a baller.
And it will even out more to that because they've seen. And we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
I see how explosive he was last week, though.
Travis Etienne at 7, awful. Kyron Williams at 8. We all whiffed on that one.
Whiffed
We
big
whiffed.
time. Yeah, I
Solid.
mean, if you stay healthy as a running back, you're gonna scream up the ranks.
Apparently, Sean McVay finally realized they could just give the ball to his actual guy for once.
Yeah.
Shout out Cam Akers.
Kyron had a lot of volume last year.
Yeah, but he wasn't the starter coming into the year.
And you didn't expect the volume with Corum there in the past game.
Derrick Henry, major hit. Josh Jacobs hit. I'll still say A-Chain hit. Pacheco, injury, bust, but we'll see what would happen if it wasn't for the injury. James Cook, to the moon. Yeah. I did say that. I said if he got half the goal line work, you realize he had the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL?
Yeah,
that can't be right.
He had 16 rushing touchdowns.
Did he really?
Can you believe that?
Right? Like,
how many did Henry have?
He was ahead of him.
Wow.
Until, I think, Gibbs... No, it was total touchdowns. Gibbs passed him at the end.
Okay.
But, like, James Cook, he had, 13 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns. Unreal.
That's bananas.
Rashad White, bust. Joe Mixon, amazing. So here's the guys.
He did deal with some injuries.
The 3 guys that really killed it later was Jacobs, Cook, and Mixon. Mm-hmm. Mixon, end of the year, awful. But, he got you there. He missed those games, and every other game he played, he was awful. Awesome. 120 yards and a touchdown every game.
And Jacobs, you saw him do it. You saw him get the volume with the Raiders, and coming in to replace Aaron Jones, you knew the Packers could run the ball. So
the running back dead zone was amazing because you had also Kenneth Walker, not him, but Kamara, Connor, Aaron Jones. Your dude. You didn't talk about your Aaron Jones love.
I did.
It was because you didn't have him. You had Aaron Jones on multiple segments.
I was just
Swift actually was okay.
What's the backup's name there? What's his name? C.J. Ham or
Ty Chandler?
Ty Chandler.
Yeah. Chandler's the one I was
Akers. So then you had Swift, Montgomery, both killed it. So that whole zone was amazing. Stevenson, our boy, the man of the pod. It was
Montgomery. That was a massive pick early.
But it's you can't wait on running back, right? Well, this year you obviously could have, and it worked out perfectly.
Najee Harris, Compiler, Mostert, your boy. That's one of you missed on. You missed that. We missed on that. Your Mostert was one of your props. 7.5 touchdowns. Major whiff. Tony Pollard, actually a big hit. Devontae Williams, bust. Zach Moss, bust. Brian Robinson Jr., I was higher than both of you guys in this guy. Had him in your league. Only had him in a few spots, but he had 8 touchdowns, missed a bunch of games.
Yeah, that's the thing with him. And with Pollard, the question is, would he have had a successful season if Spears wasn't dealing with injuries?
If both were healthy the whole year, who knows?
Because Spears looked good when he gets... Spears is good. Devin Singletary, bust. Chubb, bust. Warren, I'm just going to say bust. Eckler was solid when he was there. A couple later guys, Chase Brown at 37.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was mostly because of injury, but I feel like he was going to overtake.
He was going to outplay Moss.
I told you that. You said you didn't like his film.
He was one of my PPs, right?
He was.
He's gonna.
Dobbins killed it. Chuba at 43. Talk about that. Amazing. Charbonnet at 46. Tyrone Tracy at 55.
Yeah.
I had him everywhere.
Yeah.
Big fan of him. The dual threat. He was like a better version of what Antonio Gibson was supposed to be. And Antonio Gibson actually had a 10-touchdown year.
But before the season, everyone was like, "Oh, Singletary's RB1," and when you're not sure,
and he was.
Just wait and take the B.
Let's get the wide receiver here. Tyreek Hill.
That wasn't even injury related. I mean, when Tua was hurt, it was bad.
CeeDee Lamb, end of the season, his numbers look okay, but it was not great.
He
was not worth.
He'll still be drafted as the wide receiver 5
next year. As he should. St. Brown was what he was supposed to be. Jefferson just boomed where he was at. Jamar Chase, obviously, the one. Right? Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown, bust. Garrett Wilson, bust.
You think A.J. Brown's a bust?
Yeah, he had a bad year.
He did deal with some injuries.
Bad year.
Okay.
Yeah, for
right? Bad year. Puka's weird because he got injured week 1, not a great week. Missed 5 weeks.
Amazing
had a couple really good games. I feel like he returned value.
Is he top 3 next year?
Yeah, it seems like he is.
He'll be drafted in the first round for sure.
Marvin Harrison, bust. Debo, bust. Drake London,
Debo, good. What an absolute disappointment.
Devontae, weird season. Devontae Adams, it was weird because it was only good when everyone that had Devontae Adams probably missed the playoffs because of the whole Raiders debacle and then early on in the Jets.
And who's throwing the ball. Yeah, and then,
but he killed it
he's gonna be
towards the end.
Yeah.
Because that was just, Rodgers was like, F it, I'm done. I'm just going to go to my guy. And you saw the body language of Garrett Wilson on the sideline. That poor guy. Get him out of New York.
Right. That's your top 12. Nico Collins at 13. I'll say lukewarm.
Good when he was there. I mean, and I think he's going to...
not towards the end because when he needed him, he had 3 for 46 in the semifinals.
Yeah, did he come back fully healthy? Who knows?
Chris Olave, awful bust when you liked him. Awful.
Yeah, but I mean...
I get it.
How do you deal with a concussion that's...
he might be done.
Yeah, that's
Brandon Ayuk, bad, even when he played.
That was terrible.
Mike Evans, you hated him. He's Mike Evans as every year. He still had 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns in 10 games.
Yeah, I said Ayuk was going to be bad because he missed the whole offseason.
You did
see that every year with the Niners.
Cooper Kupp, terrible. DK Metcalf, I'll take this one on the chin. Is he just done?
I don't know.
I blame Geno.
What? But JSN?
JSN is a downfield threat.
It's bad. I don't know. I think next year's the year to draft DK. I've been saying that every year.
He's going to be a sleeper next year.
He's still going to be going wide receiver 27.
Still, I mean, big guy.
I feel like that's value. DJ Moore, I think, still kind of returned his value.
That
Jalen
was very
Waddle.
hit and miss. That
Jalen
was terrible.
Waddle, awful.
Terrible. I was not on Jalen Waddle this year at all.
Diggs injured, but had 47 catches in 7 weeks.
I was high on Waddle and Diggs. I've missed both those.
Waddle was very well received, very loved around the industry. Everybody looked to his rookie year measurables, his metrics. But the problem is, I don't know that Tua can support two consistently.
He did for the most part.
Well, now Tyreek Hill's out of there, so he's not going to have to.
Yeah.
Devonta Smith, pretty bad. Injured, bad.
Some good games, but
Michael Pittman, trash. Neighbors, ooh.
Yeah, Neighbors.
23.
Terrible that he went that low.
Cooper,
Just
bust.
terrible that he went
Pickens, bust. Higgins, I'll say hit.
Where was Downs? Making me think of Pittman.
Way,
where was Downs?
43?
way down there, man. Way down. 67.
60. Okay, I was.
And
Mitchell was probably
injured. Boss. Zay Flowers.
Tank Dell might not play another down in the NFL.
Probably not. Too small. Zay Flowers is a weird ride.
It was
Bateman
a weird
had
ride.
9 touchdowns
Boom, boom, boom,
somehow.
boom, boom.
And Zay Flowers had 3.
Yeah. Zay Flowers should be the one there,
I
but
love Zay Flowers.
a one shouldn't go 2 for 26.
Christian Kirk got hurt. Jaden Reed bust. Calvin Ridley, I feel like pretty decent. Godwin was the steal of the draft. Was healthy at 35.
Every one of those Packers wide receivers, right? There was no consistency about when you could play any single one of them. There was times when Bo Melton had games, right? The 5th wide receiver on that roster.
Or their backup tight end.
Tucker Kraft was really the guy.
Yeah. Tucker Kraft.
Not early, but.
But he also went through a stretch where, because he had a goose egg one week and he got dropped to the wire.
Keenan Allen, some big boom weeks. I'll say he actually hit even though he was unplayable the first 7 weeks of the year.
God, he had a 2-touchdown game in week 6 or 7 or something like that, and everybody thought that was his coming out party.
A multi-touchdown game later in the year, too.
Xavier Worthy at 37. Flashy.
Took him a while to come on, right? He made a lot of kind of rookie mental mistakes, but once he settled in,
did he beat out Hopkins for the play in Kansas City?
Where would Rashee Rice have ended up if he had stayed healthy? Because my goodness, yeah.
A couple other guys here: Watson bust, Deontay Johnson just not even on a team anymore.
Deontay who?
Third team this year. Roma Dunze awful in real life too. What the hell? He can't run a route or catch.
I don't know, dude.
Knucklehead. JSN 42. Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that was a miss for most people. Cortland Sutton 43. I touted him a lot, and you didn't believe it.
Yeah.
You said, "Where's the upside in Cortland Sutton?" Hey, story. Where's the upside in Cortland Sutton?
Apparently, it's touchdowns.
10 touchdowns every year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Doesn't matter who's.
I don't think anybody saw Bo Nix being that prolific.
Lad McConkey at 44, Jameson Williams at 45. Both great picks. No, McConkey was great towards the end.
Where you took him, yeah.
Dude, 60 yards every game and catching touchdowns. A couple last guys to highlight. Jerry Jeudy at 56. Amazing.
How did he make the Pro Bowl, dude?
Jerry Jeudy made the Pro
A
Bowl?
lot of yards, dude. Are you
I
serious?
just don't see it, man.
He was very good.
Judy's a Pro Bowl receiver.
Very, very good. Darnell Mooney at 64.
Yeah, that was way too low for him.
Quentin Johnson at 70. How did that go? Ricky Pearsall at 75. He looked very good.
Where's Jalen McMillan?
Oh, way down
on that list.
That was solid, 80-something.
I mean, that's another another rookie wide receiver.
Let's wrap this up at tight ends. Travis Kelce at 1, called bust. Laporta at 2, bust. Mark Andrews actually so bad the first 4 weeks.
5 weeks,
not a bust.
6 weeks.
Amazing.
Him and Likely.
How many? What did he ended up with? 10 touchdowns?
Yeah.
11 touchdowns?
He's awesome.
Something like
awesome.
Did that many?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Trey McBride, good, even though he had 2 touchdowns. Dalton Kincaid, bust of the century, right?
So bad.
Yeah, I was
They
never.
spread
I
the
was
ball around more than any team in the world.
never high on him.
I was, unfortunately. This is the end. Are you going to draft Kyle Pitts next year?
Never, ever.
I mean,
I've never been in on him, and I wasn't in on him this year.
Evan Ingram at 8, okay.
Oh, he was good in the
playing.
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson, trash.
You got the
Njoku,
volume.
nice end of the
Yeah,
year.
you got the volume out of
But
it.
he also dealt with injuries again.
Yeah.
Bowers at 11, to the moon.
Steal.
To the moon.
It's unreal.
Be drafted in the first round.
Goddard, not great. He had
No.
a couple good games. Schultz, Hawkinson. Hawkinson was okay.
Where was
but
Ertz? He
waited.
showed out for draft position, right?
That's another one.
He was done.
I
Ertz
thought
is 22, man.
I thought Hawkinson would have taken a couple weeks to get acclimated after the injury, but he never turned into the player he was. So that's
I stashed him in Chubb in
Cade
a lot of
Otton at
spots.
23. I know he missed the end of the year, but I was touting Cade Otton forever. I had him in every best ball league, and he
but he
carried
was
me to some
only
money.
good when Evans
6 really good weeks though.
McMillan wasn't there yet.
But if you drafted him in the last round as your tight end 2, he gave you 6 really good
Or
weeks of like
streaming.
14 points and a half PPR.
Okay.
Take the L.
I'm not gonna take the other.
Fucking good.
He had a goose egg and then he had like 2 points.
Taysom Hill at 21.
Like near the end.
That was weird. I didn't know what
Taysom
to do
Hill,
there.
whenever he plays, he's amazing. Jonnu Smith at 26.
Taysom's
There
such a
you go.
roller coaster,
There you
though.
go.
There's some good
Jonnu
ones.
Smith.
That's a
That's
steal.
yeah.
That's really it. Cole Kmet at 15, bust. Awful. They don't use him at all.
I don't know why. He's plenty talented enough.
Any last
They had
words?
Gerald
You guys
Everett.
have anything else to say to the people? Or
There's some lessons that have been learned and some
always.
Yeah.
Right?
Every year.
Yeah,
We
and
like
some
those
things
lessons.
that we're going to apply next season. Try to hone.
Yeah. You
Stop
Right?
touching your hands.
Play the games for a reason.
Yeah, we still trying to find.
He's washing his hands
just-
with this garbage in
yeah.
2024.
All of this nonsense that happened in 2024. We turn the page to 2025 here, and we look to, we try to find those edges. That's what we're here for.
If you didn't win a championship this year, just remember, you could be the Dallas Cowboys. You'll win next year.
That's never gonna happen.
That's not gonna happen.
Micah Parsons already said it.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's eat some pizza. We'll be back with Waterboy
There you
a
go.
little bit later.
And it's been a complete joy.